I hear you. Yes? Can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, perfect. Let me look and see if I can view your camera. Yes, I see you now too. All right. So I wanted to begin by saying that I read all of the biographies. I commented on 2, but I read all of them, and they were all very nice. They definitely had, they were strong and interesting to read. There were some common mistakes, mostly with capitalization. So let's imagine that okay, we're looking at does everybody see Marina's first post? Is it visible? Видно, да? First post, Marina?
Yes, I see.
Yes. So
Whenever candidate of philology, I should say doctor of philology.
do you have your doctoral degree yet?
No.
No. Okay.
Degree.
So doctoral candidate, perhaps? Doctoral candidate? Let me write this here.
Candidate of philology and doctor of philology is different.
Yes, that's why I'm saying it's important to say doctoral. If you add doctoral candidate,
the level of study.
Yeah. So for example, or I mentioned you could say PhD candidate. So maybe that would be, and that's correct about you, right? You are a PhD candidate.
Yes, I understand you.
Okay, so I don't know why. I wish I could highlight or write on these screens, but I can't for some reason. So this is a very common mistake, so I'm hoping everyone will pay attention to this. The indefinite article, a or an. A or an, right? Usually when you use a or an, you do not capitalize. Usually you do not capitalize. For example, I am a professor. I wrote it in the chat. I am a professor. I am a PhD candidate. In this case, because I'm using the indefinite article a, I do not capitalize candidate. We have to capitalize the P and the D in PhD, right? Because that is an abbreviation. It's a сокращение, so we must capitalize that in this case, PhD candidate. So everyone made a similar mistake. Like for example, now if we look at Larissa's biography, very wonderful biography, same thing. I am a full professor. Or I am professor, for example, I don't even know if that's written correctly, but I am professor emeritus. If you do not use a or an, then you can. Or you could say, I am the president of the United States. Then you would. And I'll write another example. You must be 35 years of age or older to be president. Do you see the difference? Does everyone see the difference?
Yes,
okay. Yes. And the reason I'm saying this, it's not necessarily a simple mistake. Native English speakers do this a lot. It's just that because we're trying to be careful about teaching you specifically academic English, this is important in your writing. That's why I'm emphasizing it now. Okay, I'm going to write some examples in the chat. and I want you to tell me what should be capitalized. Okay, I've got 2 examples there. The first sentence. Obviously, I should be capitalized. We know that. What about math?
I don't like math.
Should we capitalize math? And I don't like math. Alexander, what do you think? Capitalize? Yes? Does anybody have any other ideas? So, главная буква, capital letter. Do we need a capital letter in math?
Cold War? Nomination Cold War?
That's the second one, but I'm looking at the previous sentence.
I like math.
Harley, is it abbreviated form? No.
It's an abbreviated form, yes, but it would be the same even if I did write mathematics, because it's not written like this, right? I mean, there's a period at the end of the sentence, but so this first sentence would look like this. I don't like math. We would not capitalize the M in math because it's a general subject. General math. We don't know. Is it trigonometry? Is it geometry? What is this? It's not specific. What about the second one? What would we capitalize? About the history of the Cold War. Larissa, what do you think?
Well, I think that the nomination of the Cold War.
Cold War. And here, though, because history of the Cold War is included in the title.
I don't know. Maybe history.
Because if it is a specific title, if it is a specific course, but we could say, I enjoy history.
I understand.
But in this case, it's just history. Again, so whenever you're talking about specific names of courses or specific titles, then we should capitalize them. Just remember that if you're talking about your own position and you use a or an, then that typically means no capitalization. The capitalization, usually.
Oh.
I am the President of the United States. Again, because it is a definite article. The is a definite article. It implies that there is only one person in this position. I am the President of the United States. Peggy, do you have any other examples, anything we could use to make anything clearer if I've muddled it up a bit?
No, I think those are good examples. Yeah, I think, and we're talking about Larissa's.
We were talking about actually everybody's. Everybody had a similar issue.
So here's one from my life. I write this a lot. So I am an assistant professor of curriculum and instruction. So assistant professor is just my category, but it's not. I think am I doing this right? Assistant professor. But my subject is always capital.
Yep. But if Peggy were to say, I am assistant professor of, I'm just going to abbreviate that, and instruction at, do you see the difference? Because there is no article. Does everybody see the difference?
The title.
Yeah, it is her specific title. We're not saying she is a or she is an assistant professor. She is assistant professor. Bez, a, and the. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Larissa. So again, everyone, I saw this also in Dimitri's post. I saw this as well in Olga's post. Everyone, no matter the level, they can speak perfect English and still have such errors in their biographies. I wanted to say, as a general comment, that I really enjoyed reading them, and I liked Larissa. I liked your comment at the end about your cat being the manager of your family.
Yeah.
that made me laugh. It gives a bit of flair, and of course, depending on the context, you could use that or you could leave that sentence out, but it's fun. It's fun to put in there, and it shows that you have a sense of humor. So I personally liked that. I think we can, I'll delete this particular whiteboard now because we have many other things on here. Peggy, anything else, or should we move on to the flyer?
No, I think that's good. Do we have resources to share later on that for follow-up? Like
yes.
Okay.
That reminds me. I found a wonderful handout, so sort of a brief guide for all of you about capitalization rules. Because, as I said, they can be complicated. Native speakers make these mistakes all the time, so don't feel bad about it. But I sent it as a PDF to Kostya, and we will forward this handout to you all as an email attachment. And I would recommend that you print it and you keep it by your computer or wherever it is that you typically do your writing so that you can look at it whenever you need to. They're just a quick list of rules to help you decide when to capitalize, when not to capitalize words. Okay. Now, does everybody see this? It's actually called a flyer. We call these, I don't want, we call these flyers. So it's a sign that you might typically see hanging on a board or on a door, windows, things like this, a flyer advertising something. And I want us to go through it together because this is a humorous flyer. It is meant to be funny. It is not entirely serious, but there are important writing rules here, but they are written in the form of jokes. So I want us all to underline. I would like to begin by underlining the mistakes. And you all know how to do this, right? If you nажимаете на marker или pencil under meeting info.
Really, mine is grayed out. I don't know if theirs is. Mine is grayed out. It's not clicking.
Okay,
I don't know if theirs is.
Let me get assign privileges. Aha.
Okay.
I'll give everybody all privileges here. Okay.
Oh, okay, great.
So can everybody do this? Does everybody know how? Larissa, Alexander, Marina, do you know how to do this? If not, please tell me and I will. Yes, who is that? Who is the paint for purple?
Could you help me, Carly?
Sure. Okay, so видно meeting info, да? Наверху налево экрана. Есть info. Под meeting info там есть карандаш. Вот там нажимаете на карандаш. И вы можете тоже выбирать цвет. Направо этот. Да, okay. So, let's underline the mistakes. Let's underline the mistakes in this flyer.
What kind of mistakes?
What kind of mistakes?
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Okay. For example, I will give you one. How to write good. How do we say this correctly?
Should we correct it?
Well, I want to see if somebody knows. They might know. Why is good incorrect in this case? Marina, do you know? Nobody?
Right? No?
It's incorrect. But why is it incorrect?
You need to use good, well instead of good.
Exactly. Because in this case, good is supposed to be a, yes, it's, well, no. It's supposed to be like a narečje. Правильно сказала, наречие.
Yeah.
So, we underline that and then I would write well. How to write well.
Oh, well.
Normally our adverbs have ly on the end. Like for example, I run quickly. The ly is usually the ending there. Good as an adverb becomes well. So I don't feel well, for example. Я не хорошо себя чувствую. I don't feel well. Is it clear? And Dimitri, is that you?
Yes, me.
Ah, okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure too, so yeah, even yes, I see it. Okay. So now that you know what we're doing, let's go through this list and underline the mistakes. Every line has a mistake. Every line. Every line. And I'm going to write an example next to number one. Number one is a little bit difficult. I'm going to write an example of an alliteration.
Okay, I know that one.
That is an alliteration. When a series of words all begin with the same letter. Peter, Piper, picked a peck of pickled peppers. That is an alliteration. Yeah, Peggy wrote another one in the chat. Sally sells seashells.
Tongue twisters.
Yeah.
If you're tongue twisted.
Yeah, these extreme examples of alliterations are like tongue twisters, for example. Perfect. Who is purple? Is that Marina?
No, it's Dmitry. It's me.
Dmitry, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. And number two, let's try number two. What is a preposition?
It's a short word which connect other words.
Yes, yeah. We could probably, you can even say it in Russian in this case, if you want.
Предлоги.
Yes, exactly. Yes, because it tells us usually the location of something. So exactly. A preposition is not a word to end sentences with. Meaning, so how would you rewrite this sentence? I'll let you all finish this first. So we will find the mistakes and then we will rewrite. Okay, let's keep looking. And who is green?
It's mine. It's ours.
Okay, Martina's green. If anyone has questions as well. Yes, I like these.
Mhm.
That's good.
Mhm.
Alexander and Larissa, how are you guys doing with this list? Mhm. Okay, we're almost done. And number 8 could be difficult if you don't know the word redundant. Yes, there we go. Redundant.
Mhm.
The whole thing is a mess, right?
Yeah, needs help.
Yeah. So this is actually a very good list of rules for writing. And perhaps the reason I like it so much is that, at least for me, I learn well when there is an element of humor involved. And so, in my opinion, this is still a very good list because the important rules are there. And it's also humorous. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's try to correct these. I want everybody to at least correct one sentence. So, but let's see, how many people do we have here today? 1, 2, 3, 4 students. Well, someone's going to get an odd number, but let's start by asking everybody to do 2. So please correct 2 sentences, and if you have time, then you can correct a bit more. But I want everyone to have a chance to correct them. And you can correct them on the screen, or perhaps it might be easier to correct them in the chat if you want. Let me know if anyone needs any help. Okay, I don't hear anybody typing, so maybe another way would, let's begin with number 1. Who wants to, what is another way we can say number 1?
Try to avoid the annotations, maybe.
Yeah, yep. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes, see, I personally don't think it's that bad to say, try to avoid alliteration, even though avoid and alliteration both start with A. Big deal. But again, you shouldn't do Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers unless you're writing a tongue twister or a poem or something artistic. So, or you could say simply, try not to use words, or what should we say, Peggy? Try not to use words that all begin with the same letter.
Exactly. Try to avoid words that start with the same sound. I guess the idea is it just sounds silly because we usually use it with children or poetry, right?
Yeah. It doesn't sound professional, really.
Yeah.
It sounds as though it's a joke or it's meant for children or something.
More for fun.
Yeah. Then let's move on to number 2. Someone else? Maybe.
Don't use prepositions in the end of sentences.
Perfect. Yep. Yep. Do not end sentences with prepositions. You can still use with, just not at the end. Let's do the third one, maybe Alexander.
На домостинку работающая.
Sorry? Alexander, did you say something?
What should I do?
Correct the sentence.
Correct the sentence.
Say it
But
differently.
it is not what which right in the end.
We are on number 3, though. You're on number 3. You could simply just say, for example, просто avoid cliches, or avoid using cliches. So you could say that. Because here, the humor in this sentence is that, like the plague and old hat, those are both cliches. So just avoid cliches. And let's go to the next one.
Avoid using comparison.
They. It's old.
Oh, it's old hat. This means it's like по старому стилю. Yeah. So it's old fashioned.
It's old fashioned.
Overused, yeah.
Yeah. So avoid cliches. When you avoid something like the plague, it means you really avoid it, right? You stay far away from them. They're old hat. So these are 2 cliches or phrases that we have in English that you would not use in formal writing. The next one?
Avoid using comparisons.
Avoid using comparisons. Yeah, that's one way we could reword this. Although, as you know, in some academic texts, you should compare. It's just you need to be sure that what you are comparing, that there is some sort of relationship between them and that there is a good reason to compare them. So again, this rule is true and it's not true. In some cases it's true and some not. Larissa?
Be correct.
Be correct? Or what's another option?
Говори ясно, точно.
Yes. Speak clearly.
Clearly.
Be right correctly.
Yes. Or you can simply say be specific. Be specific. Be concise. Be accurate. I would say here that in terms of being specific, to me, specificity is something a little bit different than, what are your thoughts, Peggy?
On be specific?
Yeah,
I guess use the correct words.
Use correct words.
Use detail. Like think of your words carefully before you speak them or write them, and then to me that means use detail, like level of detail. Like the words more or less, we don't need them.
Exactly, more or less, because that's not specific.
As you said, yeah.
And there's a typo here. A typo means a spelling error. Mistake here. It should actually be writers, not rights.
Right.
Oh yeah, writers.
So, but what's the other mistake? We can go back to Dimitri, maybe.
Maybe it's not a good idea to use never in this sentence.
Exactly.
Because it's a generalization.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. At least growing up, I was always taught to be wary of the words always and never.
Never.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Never say never.
Never say never, yes. Because you
Well,
can't
I guess that's a little bit different.
speak for an entire group of people unless you've got some really good scientific data to back that up. Yeah, so again, the word here, never. So you could say one shouldn't generalize, or one should not generalize. Or another pair of words that we use together with, another word that we use with generalize often is do not make generalizations. So often we use the word make with generalizations. Or you can simply say, don't generalize. The next one, somebody already did it.
Yeah, that's me.
Exactly, consistency. So we have everything else is consistent here, written in numerical form. And here they wrote 7 as they spelled it out. Yeah. The next one, maybe Marina?
Simple, don't be redundant.
Yes.
Redundant.
Yes, don't be redundant.
Point.
Next, Larissa?
Don't know.
Maybe what is a rhetorical question?
Don't use more words than necessary. That's right.
Yes. Because here these all mean the same thing. This means the same as this. This means the same as this. The meaning is all the same. So you can say it once and be done. And the next one, Larissa, do you know what a rhetorical question is?
Who needs theoretical questions? Maybe nobody needs theoretical questions.
Well, and it's important to note that this word is a little bit different. It looks like theoretical questions, but it is rhetorical. Rhetorical.
Rhetorical.
A rhetorical question is a question that you don't expect an answer to.
Rhetorical. I understand.
Yeah.
Avoid rhetorical questions.
Ure.
If you use rhetorical questions, you have to know that the rhetorical question is the stylistic figura or stylistic mistake.
Yes. And the last one, maybe we could have, well, we should also make sure that everybody knows the word exaggeration. Exaggeration as the noun, to exaggerate being the verb. So what are some examples of exaggerations? Can we have some examples? Marina, can you give us an example of an exaggeration?
Yes, much more worse than.
Yeah, so another way you could say this, Alexander, is exaggerating is worse.
Is worse than understatement.
Yeah, and exaggeration is worse than understatement. True.
Exaggeration is like hyperbole.
Can anybody give me an example of an exaggeration?
Million times.
Exactly. Or
Exaggeration.
I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
I was thinking of that exact one, or a whale.
Yeah, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
You used to say that as children.
I have a million things to do today.
It feels like it sometimes.
Yeah. Agreed. I have a itch in my throat. Okay, but anyway, that's about it for this flyer. I really thought this was an excellent example of some mistakes that people often make in their writing, and I like the way it was displayed. So, Peggy, did you want to? Oh, before I forget, actually, we need to have you guys do your elevator speeches.
Okay, great.
Elevator speeches. And remember, we asked that you all pretend as though the person on the elevator with you is someone that you do not know. So you can't say, oh, hi, Larissa, what do you do for a living? No, because we are pretending that I don't know you. I don't know you. Remember, 30 seconds. Who would like to begin with his or her elevator speech? The volunteers.
Should we go first again?
Sure. Do you need another example? What happened? I feel like I can't hear people. Oh. Don't have
We are not brave people.
Yes, you are. Come on now. Okay. Well, Professor Semmingson and I will begin.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Ding. Hi. I see you work here. What do you do?
Oh, hi. Yeah. I work in this building. I am an early stage researcher as well as a PhD candidate in the field of Russian and border studies in the Faculty of Social Sciences and Business Administration. But I also teach English, and most of my students are professionals or faculty members of Russian universities. And I suppose it would be nice to say that in my spare time I also sing in a band, and I have a little boy with whom I love to spend time.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, what about you? I've seen you around here.
That was 26 seconds, but it was actually more like 30 because I started it late.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an assistant professor of literacy studies. I'm a teacher of teachers. I train them how to teach reading and writing to children. I also do research, and in my spare time, I'm learning how to improve my skills with technology. I teach all online as well. 100% of my classes are online.
Wow, that's really interesting. And then we would go into something else where there'd be that hook there, and I'd say, oh, wow, you teach online? And then our conversation would take over from there if there was time, of course, or maybe we would exchange business cards. So now who would like to go next? I see Marina smiling. Maybe we can pair Marina with Dimitri, maybe?
I'll try.
Okay. Dimitri, are you there? Where did you go?
He had to step away.
Okay. Well, then let's have Marina go with Alexandra. Ding.
Alexander?
My name is Marina. I work at Omsk Tech University. I teach technologies of public relations, advertising, stylistic, Russian language, and other linguistic disciplines. I research language trends in media text, especially in advertising text. And where do you work? And
Very nice.
what hobbies do you have? Alexander?
Huh?
Where do you work and what hobbies do you have? What are you into?
I work in the Department of Chemistry in Omsk Tech University. I am head of chemistry department. I teach organic chemistry. I am I like my work, and That's all.
That's good, actually. Alexander, yours was very concise, and which was fine, actually. I thought it was wonderful. You could have stopped there, and it would have been fine. Yeah. Very nice. Peggy, do you have any comments? Any comments?
Oh, that was great. My audio is cutting out, but no, that was great. You had the main points there, and that's all people want to know, so that's great.
Yeah, that was very good. Really good, you guys. Okay, now let's move on to Larissa and Dimitri.
Dmitry. Where are you, Dmitry?
Well, my name is Dmitry. I live and work in Omsk. I work in Omsk State University as an assistant professor of sociology and labor economics. I also do research in human motivation and human behavior, and I'm designing a vector model of expectancy theory. Also, I like to draw. And what about you?
Oh, I am professor of State University too. I am teachers, and I am teach students, and I am teach Russian language for native speakers, and theory text, and applied linguistic, and applied psycholinguistic. It's very interesting. Like your job, Alexander. Ой, Дмитрий. Не отзывается.
It's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was perfect, you guys. Perfect. Within the time limit, the main information was there. I liked it. What are your thoughts?
That was good. That was great. I like the interchange.
Me too.
The interaction.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate how you guys sought to include questions to include the to continue the conversation. Yeah, it's good when you say, and what about you? Or do you like your job? What do you do? That's considered very polite in American culture.
Good manners.
Yeah, it's good manners. You always want to ask about the other person, because otherwise it seems as though you're just interested in talking about yourself, but you want to show that you're interested in learning about the other person as well.
Yes.
So, very nice. You all thought to do that, and that's great.
Yeah.
So, today, I thought that another thing we would do was talk about the difference between formal and informal English. And what I'd like to do first is hear from you all what, in your opinion, is formal English versus informal English, and what do you encounter every day? So, Alexander, can you tell us a difference between formal English and informal English?
What this means? Formal
Yeah.
English. Yes. Formal English is official English.
Mm-hmm.
Informal English, it's cookie.
It's what? Sorry?
It's English which used in
London.
the street.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Informal English is often something that you would use while talking with someone on the street, a friend, family member.
Yes, informal English. And formal English, when you write some official paper.
Yeah, and informal English, it's important to know that usually informal English is associated with spoken English most of the time, like you said. So it's something that you hear most often, although informal English can also be written. But do you all see this chart? I'm not sure if you can see what I see now. Professor Semmingsen, do you see the chart that I'm showing on the screen, or is it something that only I can see right now?
I don't see a chart. It says formal and informal English. Should we scroll down?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Scroll. Okay, if we scroll down.
Yes.
Yeah, so please scroll down to the bottom of the page. again, perhaps Professor Semmington can comment some more on this, but at least in my opinion, academic English obviously is a type of formal English. It's another type, right? That here in these sort of bubbles, we see personal emails, forum posts, blogs. Those can all contain academic English as well. News articles often do, or books, depending on what type of books we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And Professor Semmington, do you want to say some more about the differences between?
No, but I often think of texting on my phone as very informal, and I know some teachers in the United States take great offense when high school students use text speak from their phone in their essays. That's a big problem here.
Yes, that's so bad.
So.
Yeah. So obviously what we're going to be doing here is working with formal English, being academic English, but there will be occasions where perhaps for your own research purposes you might need to sort of translate from informal to formal English, or at least in your mind. Think about what this actually means. I really liked this article very much that I'm showing you now. If you scroll to the top of the screen again, it says, here is an example of formal English that you might come across in a book. Dimitri, can you please read those examples?
As the price of $5 was reasonable, I decided to make the purchase without further thought.
Exactly. That's very formal English. And then can you read the second one?
Me?
Can you read the other example below?
It was like $5, so I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah, the use of the word like.
Oh, that reminds me when I lived in California. Everybody talks like that.
Yeah.
It's a bad habit.
And of course, there are plenty of instances where using the word like is perfectly fine and it's fitting. But here, Professor Semmington wrote in the chat earlier about a filler word. And like is very much a filler word. When you need a break in your speech or when you're searching for the right word to say, oftentimes people say well, or you know, or like. It's sort of like, in Russian, what do you say? Как бы something, or nu, filler words. Filler words. Tipa. Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you ever have any doubt between the two, this website has a particularly useful other chart here of some differences between formal and informal English that we won't go through now because we have a lot of material to do, so I can provide you with this link later if you would like. And Professor Semmington, I believe you had a couple examples for us. Did you have?
Yeah, I do. Let me.
Yeah, I'll give you the rights here.
Okay, great. I'll find the whiteboard. We have many whiteboards. Let's see. Give me a second. Actually wanted to add one more. I have many blogs. I have like 3 blogs. Yeah, I just used the word like. It's a bad habit, isn't it? So let me share from my blog. It's called literacyupdate.wordpress.com. It's supposed to be a professional blog, but I find it's a mix of formal and informal. So this is an excerpt from, or a blog post from when I traveled to Cambridge, Massachusetts. I visited at Harvard for 2 weeks, which is extremely exciting. But I kept a blog, which was more like a diary. And this is an example of an informal post. And so the title is Day 4, the Nor'easter. Actually, I think my mother was the only one who read this. And that's okay. A nor'easter is a storm on the East Coast, type of storm, winter storm. And me being from Texas had never encountered, severe weather. And so I wrote about it. And so I said I stayed inside in the Turner house today. So lots of short sentences here. I braved it. Can I mark on this?
Yes. If you click on the T. Or,
okay.
Or just, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's probably better to use the pen. So I braved it, the whole 2 blocks of Cobblestone Street to the Broadway Market to get a cranberry sandwich and coffee. So I'm writing about the mundane, the mundane kind of aspects of my life, but braved it could be informal. What does that mean? When you I braved it to the store.
Let's see if
like
we can
I guess,
come up with some.
Yeah, what does that mean? I braved it. So I guess formally I could have said, I ventured out of my, dwelling to go to seek some food, but instead I just said I braved it. And I'm kind of being sarcastic because it really didn't snow that much. I just was unprepared. I was being slightly sarcastic or ironic, I suppose. I was going to get some chowder and a bread bowl. So on the East Coast, they eat soup called chowder, but on the East Coast, they say chowder in Boston, chowder. And they don't say their R's, so I was kind of poking fun a little bit, but they actually poke fun of that themselves, so I was saying that. So I could have said, I'm going to seek some chowder, but I said chowder and a bread bowl at the regatta. That would be good right about now to warm myself up. It's 29 degrees with the wind chill, gusts and snow flurries. It was a good staying inside day. So that was just a phrase I invented, I suppose. I'll get up early in the morning to head over to the library. Every minute counts here. So this is just an update of what I'm doing in a journal kind of diary format. No pics, maybe tomorrow. So not even a complete sentence. So, but people get my point, right? Like I'm having a good time. I'm just kind of hanging out, eating, staying warm. So any thoughts? Does anyone here blog? Write on a blog? Any bloggers out there? Nobody? Okay, probably no time, huh? No time. I put the link in the window because I did try to include a lot of pictures on this blog. It was informal, I would say. Let's switch to my dissertation. That's more academic. Not as much fun as my trip to Harvard. But so I'll post the link to my blog as well on the Webby Lang. Carly, we can maybe post that later. So here's a more familiar style of writing. This is from my dissertation study, and as we know, dissertations are these long documents. Mine was 200 and I think 49 pages of academic prose. So this study began in a similar way to the pilot study. So there's lots of academic jargon in here. And there's always a format to this, right? So I'm describing how the story of how this study began. The geographical setting and demographic context, as well as the demographics of the parents, were similar to the pilot study. However, so there's a good academic transitional word. However, the students in the reading club in the year of the study were primarily younger children, blah, blah, blah. So here's what other academic phrases are you seeing in here that makes this more formal? Or what are you all noticing? I'm not going to read the whole thing to you.
Yeah, perhaps you all could, again, underline the words that really make this formal to you, formal English, that point to it as being formal English. So maybe underline and then tell us what you're underlining, please.
I just circled a few kind of key phrases that we see over and over in academic writing that alert us that this is a formal piece.
Yeah, don't be shy, guys.
You can highlight, underline, talk, whichever works.
Words.
Yeah. I hope there's no typos.
I'm sure it's perfect. Is the pink there? Is that Dimitri?
Yes, it's me.
I love your choice of colors.
Just a default.
Oh, I should mention I'm a qualitative researcher, so if you see me writing in first person, like that's characteristic of qualitative research, meaning I primarily do interview type studies, whereas I know some people say, well, you're supposed to refer to yourself in the third person, the researcher or the author, you know, so I don't typically do that. I usually use, like in this case, I used first person because I was conducting the study and it was an interpersonal kind of study, and so it was appropriate for me to say I, just as a side note. So I could have said this research study, but I didn't. So maybe that's something you do in your own writing, is you might say this research study examines blah, blah. And here I chose to use first person.
And I see someone else in green. Is that you, Marina?
Yes.
Okay. And Larissa and Alexandra, do you know how to, oh, I see another one. Another shade of blue.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Process of making a story.
Yeah, who did this one?
What?
Someone did this. Someone underlined the process of making a story. No?
No.
Okay. I know these blue ones were me. I did these here. Cognitive.
Mine. No.
Oh, okay. It's Alexander's.
So first, making a story, I underline.
Oh, perfect. Okay, Alexander's. Nice. Yeah, you guys are really picking out a lot of good ones. I think we've got most of them there, don't we, Professor Summerson?
I think so, yeah. Just recognizing the academic jargon, words like summarize and the term. Yeah, that's a good one. So in academia, we always define our terms. When I say blank, I mean, or it refers to blank. So.
Yeah, very nice. You guys definitely picked out a lot of the good words here that really mark this as being a text written in academic English, formal English. I have some other, this is an example of a letter written, and as you can see there are 16 different mistakes. 16 different mistakes. I'm not necessarily interested in correcting each of the mistakes as much as talking about why or what we could say that could be better. So first of all, let's look for the audience or the recipient of this letter and the letter's purpose. So perhaps we could all...
I need to hand over the participation to you.
Yeah, please. Can you not see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I still see the paragraph. Let's see. Okay. 1 second. List. Okay. Okay, I gave you the little globe.
Sure.
Okay, good.
Okay. Does everybody see a short paragraph here in my blue writing? Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, I see.
Okay.
Yes, I see.
Or it starts with hi there. Okay. Let's begin with Alexander. Please read. Let me show you. Sorry.
Well, I think that teenagers have just as much right to vote in election as someone who's old as they live in the country too, you know, and they're the future.
Very good. Let's stop there, please, Alexander, and we'll continue with someone else. Maybe Dimitri can continue.
So they are bound to care about what's going to happen to the country they live and when they are grown up. But some people think that teenagers are away with the fairies when it comes to important things like voting.
Okay,
But
let's stop there again. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you guys, but I want everyone to have a chance to read. So Larissa, please continue.
Хорошо. But not all of us are. And anyway, you know, some grown-ups are like that too. So I think teenagers should be given a chance.
Okay. So now I want us to think about who is the audience or who will receive this letter, do you think? Based upon, what's he writing about, Marina? What is Andrew writing about?
About recipient of this letter.
Let's talk about first about the letter's purpose. The purpose of this letter.
Maybe teenager.
Yeah, so we know a teenager is writing it. It certainly seems that way. It's written in very informal English. It's definitely not formal English. And what is Andrew? Andrew is the person writing it. What is he saying in this letter? What is the main idea? What is the main idea? Dimitri, do you know?
maybe the main idea is the teenagers should have much right to vote.
Exactly. Yeah. So this, we'll say the purpose or the argument. The argument. This letter is arguing that teenagers should have the right to vote in elections. We don't know specifically what types of elections, but he's saying that teenagers should have the right to vote. And again, we've seen that this is very informal English. And if he's writing a letter, maybe he is writing to a politician, maybe to some government official. So
maybe to the newspaper, maybe.
Yes, yeah. In that case, what style should he be writing in? In what style should he write?
In official language.
Yes,
Formal language.
Formal language. And so let's go through and look at these. So number one, written next to hi there. What could we use instead? How do you begin a formal letter? Maybe Larissa?
The beginning of formal letter have to include formal speech components. Write well isn't formal components at the beginning of the formal speech letter.
Yes. I'm giving you an example of the way a formal letter usually begins.
Yeah.
Обращение.
Yes.
Должно быть обращение.
Yes. So do you all see where I wrote to whom it may concern?
Dear people, or dear colleagues, dear opponents, or opponents, I think the teenager and another.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that if you don't know the name or the position of the person to whom you are writing, if you don't know, then it's better to say to whom it may concern. To whom it may concern. And what about, see, Larissa, you mentioned that you should not begin a sentence with well in formal English, and you are right. You are right. And again, in formal English, we try to leave out words like think, believe, I think, I believe, because in academic English, it's not about what we think or we believe. It's about facts. Facts. So we could say, for example, teenagers have just as much right to vote in an election as adults. Because again, we have here someone who's as old as the hills. Who's as old as the hills. That's very much informal. That's very informal speech. And it doesn't sound very respectful. So what are some other options? How could we say this? What could we write instead of saying someone who is as old as the hills? Marina, do you have an idea?
Adult people.
As adult people.
Yes, and again, adult people, that's a little redundant. Do you remember that word? Adult people, redundant, because adults are people.
Yes. As adults.
Yes. So teenagers have just as much right to vote in an election as adults, right? And then what's the mistake with this next sentence?
You know.
Precisely. You could say, after all, comma, they live in this country too, and
the rhetorical exclamation in this sentence.
Yeah, you could get rid of the exclamation. You don't want to seem too pushy or too emotive. So we could say, teenagers are part of this country, or we could say teenagers live in this country too, and as citizens of, we'll say, as U.S. citizens, just for example, and as citizens of this country, you could continue along in that vein, or teenagers are the future of our country. Our teenagers are the future, something like this. And let's go along to the next one. I think number 8. We could go to number 8. So they're bound to care about what's going to happen in the country they live in when they're grown up. So they're bound to care, it means
they should prepare.
Yeah. And also, when we're talking about bound to care, I'm bound to care about it. I'm bound to care about the future of the country. It means, of course, I will care. I am certain to care. So, blah, blah, blah. And as such, they are certain to care about the future of the country they live in, for example. Professor Semmingsen, do you want to take it over a bit?
Sure. Okay, so are we on number 10? Or we kind of combine that?
Whatever you want to do. Start.
Yeah. Okay, so to recap or to rephrase what Professor Storm just said, she said a better way to phrase kind of that 8, 9, and 10 sentence would be, so teenagers are also going to care as well about what's happening in this country when they become adults. Something to that effect. So kind of using the phrase teenagers to be more specific. So teenagers are so teenagers are certain to care about the issues pertaining to the country they live in when they become adults. Let's see, let's look at number 11. It says, but some people think teenagers are away with the fairies when it comes to important things like voting. So what might they mean here? What might the writer mean? What might they be trying to say? And here they're generalizing, right, a little bit. Some people think teenagers are away with the fairies What do you think they're trying to say there? What might the real intent be? Teenagers are away with the fairies. The fairies connote something light and maybe less important. What do you guys think? Some people think teenagers are away with the fairies when it comes to important things like voting. This doesn't actually sound too bad when it comes to important things like voting. But let's rephrase this part. Some people think teenagers are away with the fairies. What's a better way to say that? Anyone? Anyone? Let me see. Should we call on somebody?
Maybe,
Okay, Dimitri?
maybe some people think that teenagers are not able to take part in elections, something like that.
Or not able to take part or not concerned with, maybe?
Yes.
The
Important
teenagers disappear when it comes.
Do you have an idea? Do you have an idea, Marina?
Maybe teenagers disappear or don't exist.
On number 11? It's not important to them is kind of what they're saying. It's not important. Some people think teenagers are away with the fairies. I've never heard that phrase. Have you, Professor Storm?
I think perhaps I found this on BBC, and so it's
Oh, it's
probably
British.
British.
Oh, okay. Away with the fairies.
Yeah,
To
it
me,
certainly
sounds,
makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like light, and then voting is more heavy and
Yeah.
serious. And so away with the fairies would be I just sort of play all day, and I'm not taking anything seriously is what it connotes to me. So maybe we could say not concerned with important things like voting. So I think the last part of that sentence, number 12, is almost okay. But we really shouldn't start a sentence with but, right?
However,
So somebody cross that out. Who crossed that out?
Well, that was when I put a stop in the sentence earlier. That's my bad.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that we could take out, but let me just read it for 13. But not all of us are. So it's kind of an incomplete thought. What would be a better way to rephrase that? What does everyone think? What do we think? Maybe we just need to expand that idea with more to make it more formal. What can we say instead?
I don't know. This sentence is very long, and maybe sentence have to be short, and the variant of the sentence maybe so. There is another position about role of teenagers in voting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, number 11. Are you? Let's see.
I'm also writing below some other alternatives. I don't know if you can see
okay.
them.
If you scroll down, Professor Storm wrote, she rephrased it as, some think that teenagers do not care about important issues like voting. I'm going to make my screen smaller. But this is not the case. Can you all see that if you scroll down? Some think teenagers do not care about important issues like voting, but this is not the case. I like that phrase, this is not the case.
mm-hmm.
And then she adds, also, it is important to remember not all adults are interested in politics. So if we go back to the sentence, but not all of us are. So she combined, did you combine those sentences?
Yeah, because as someone mentioned, one of the sentences was quite long, and so whenever that happens, you could see how you could possibly make the sentence more concise. And since the next sentence following it was rather short, you could always try to link it in there. I was thinking about what I could possibly do to number 15, because again, it's a rather incomplete thought. I think teenagers should be given a chance. Given a chance to what?
To vote.
Yeah, I think teenagers should be given the chance to vote. Or I was thinking something that sounds even more persuasive and sounds even stronger would be saying, first of all, leave out, I think. We don't use think. Teenagers should be given the chance to decide for themselves whether or not they will vote, for example. Because they're saying some teenagers are interested in issues like voting. Some aren't, some are. But this is the same for adults. So teenagers should decide for themselves whether or not they will vote. That's one alternative. And here on the next whiteboard, oops, what happened? We see some other alternatives. Again, another way to begin a letter, Dear Sir, or actually, this is not entirely politically correct. I would say Dear Sir or Madam, like Professor Semingson wrote in the chat, because we don't always want to assume that the recipient is a man. So it could be to whom it may concern, or Dear Sir or Madam. And anyway, we don't need to go through all of these here because we looked at these on our own. And you identified a lot of these problems in the text. Oh, goodness, we're actually out of time. We are out of time. But I want to ask, actually, I think today was a very good class, and I'm very happy with the work you guys did. I hope that you are happy as well. I see Dimitri shaking his head yes. Good. I hope this was useful. So we will continue along this vein next time. Next time we are going to do some translation from Russian to English. That's going to be fun because we're going to translate from academic Russian to academic English. And we're going to do, I have a very fun short story for you by a female author. What was her last name? Я не помню фамилию. But it's basically called, it translates, I'm Not Chekhov. And it's very complicated business style writing, overly complicated style, and we are going to try to simplify this mess of a business letter from Russian into English. And we are going to, you all will be beginning your first essay. Did everyone receive the email with the book attachment, the book by David Crystal? Kostya sent this email. Yes. So Kostya sent this email a week or so ago, a few days ago, at least. And your first article, your first essay, rather, will be of a similar topic. It's going to be something related to English as a global language. But you can write this essay however you feel. You can argue against English as a global language. You can talk about positive aspects, negative aspects. English as it is used in your sphere. For example, Alexander English is very widespread in science, for example. This is your choice, but we attached the book to this email for you to use as a possible source. So you can begin by reading chapter 1 of David Crystal's book. And in that email, there are also 2 links to shorter articles written by David Crystal that sort of summarize his whole idea, summarize his whole argument in these 2 links. So we will send these to you again. We will resend to this email with the book and with the links. But your assignment is to read chapter 1 from Crystal, perhaps read the links if you have time to read the links. Choose one aspect of English as a global language to write upon. You're going to write about one aspect. And you're going to write the first paragraph, so the introductory paragraph of your essay in the blog. So I will make the blog post, like I did last time, saying homework number 3, academic English, and you will post your introductory paragraphs there. Is it clear?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
So Kostya will send another email, and I will post this in the blog.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have questions or comments about today's class or about your homework?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for great job.
What did you say, Marina?
Thank you for great work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexander.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you on the blog, WebbyLang blog. Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Till next week.
Let's walk.